So you should, when you log into Canvas, see something similar to this. These are all the classes for James as a student. I've got pre-16, we've got Co-17A, we've got Co-21A. And down here we have our class, which I haven't renamed it because I want to make sure everybody knows how to do it. So if you click on these little dots here, you can change the color. I am not a fan of this color at all, so I'm going to change it to something a little more palatable. And I'm also going to change the name so I actually know what it is. Right? I have no idea that this class's name is WLD 922001. Right? That's not the way I recognize this class. I'm going to call it Co-21B. So that's something you can do if you want to change your class names, just so you know. But let's go ahead and check out the Canvas for the course. All right. So here we have the homepage / syllabus, which kind of has the class information. As I'm sure many of you are already aware, there are links to the class meetings via Zoom right there. There's also links to my office hours, which are every day from 11 to 12, except for Wednesdays when they're 10 to 11. You're certainly welcome to attend them. I definitely had people, not from 21B, but definitely people in office hours today. So I'm already helping people out. I don't know if you had to use the password or not to get into the meeting, but there it is. It will always be that password for all the meetings. So it's easy to remember, famous mathematician. My name is James, as I've already said. Please call me James. You can also call me Mr. Parmenter. You can call me other things like professor. Even though I'm not a professor, people still call me professor. So call me whatever works for you, as long as it's, as long as it makes sense, and I will hear it. My email's on there. Email is probably the best way to get a hold of me in general. I usually respond pretty quickly. I do see my emails come up on my phone, so I'm usually very available via email. You can also, if it's really pressingly urgent, you can try calling me, although I really can't imagine why you need to call me, but you're welcome to call me. The only thing is, if I don't recognize the number, I'll probably let it go to voicemail. So you're probably better off emailing me if you really want to get a hold of me as quickly as possible. And then there's a link to the discussions. The discussions are just another good place to try to ask questions. So we can either click here or here. Click on the discussions for just a second. You can see there are some places where you can ask questions, like, do you have any questions? And then if you wanted to write things, I see like there's already a question. When I'll post the recorded videos on Canvas, I will post them as soon after class as I can. Typically, especially with this class being an hour and a half, it takes, I think, like 10 to 15 minutes for the video to convert. And then I do a little bit of editing before I post it. And then, so then it has to transfer, it has to go to YouTube, which takes a few minutes. And then I have to wait for YouTube to actually, for the video to do whatever it does. I forget what the word is I'm looking for. So usually within the hour, I would like to say, that's my goal, is to have it up relatively soon. I'll probably split today's class video into actually 2 videos, one being kind of this navigation of Canvas stuff into its own video, and then whatever math we do in a second video, because it seems weird to have them in one video. Also, when I'm sharing my screen, I always forget that I need to look at the chat. So let me see if I can open up the chat here. Oh, sorry, someone said they're taking 21A. Right? Yes, you are. If you're taking 21A, this is the wrong workload. You're probably looking for Duff. I can definitely, in fact, let's go. So speaking of, I don't know if they're still here, but if we go down to kind of the bottom, if you look there, here's the other math specialists, Casey. Now they wrote I am here. Casey, Claire, Duff, Grant, and Sarah. If you're looking for 21A, Duff is the other Co-21A teacher, and his class meets on Tuesday and Thursday. And here's the link to it right there. Or there, at least to the stuff. I don't actually see his, I don't see his link for his Zoom, but whatever. So if you're looking for a different class, I hope you can find it. Yeah. So can you guys see the chat that I have up here? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, usually you can't see the Zoom things that I can see, but you can see the other stuff. All right. So no worries at all. So it's always weird that, like, I'm talking to the class, like I'm responding to this private chat. You guys are like, who is he talking to? Don't worry about it. So some notes about the Co class. This class is a support class for students who are in Math 21B. Each class period, I will mostly be showing you examples and demonstrating how to solve them. If there are specific examples that you would like me to cover in class, please let me know ahead of time. So you can either email me, you can write a discussion post saying like, James, I'd like to talk about this in class on Tuesday or Thursday, or you can also, there was something else I wanted to say. Though you can use the weird chat function in Canvas, which just seems bizarre. But you can apparently, you can chat, you can say like, hey, I want to see integrals of trig functions. You could send such a message if you wanted to. And then everyone else, I think everyone can see the chats, so don't write anything you wouldn't want other people to see there. I mean, I'm going to see it either way. So let's go back to the home page here. I'll record, edit, and post the class sessions. As far as the grading of the class, it's pretty straightforward. My intention is certainly that everyone passes the class as long as you attend and do the very few things I ask you to do. So half of the grade is based on attendance. If you show up, you get the points. And I need to actually, I'll take a screenshot of the attendance list in just a second here. 25% of the class grade will be based on your completion of the weekly reflection. So let's go take a look at the weekly reflections. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and let's go to the assignments really quick. And yes, the assignments are not laid out the way I prefer. So you can certainly have yours laid out by showing by date. I prefer show by type. I just think it looks nicer. Reflection 0 should be visible. And so in that reflection, there's some things I think people have already done it. I just want to know some stuff about you, your name, your hometown, pets, a math question if you have one, a joke or a meme. Always appreciated. I've gotten lots of jokes and memes over the last quarter, and they've been excellent. I also would like everyone to select a photo of themselves or something representative of themselves to have for Zoom in future Zoom meetings. You can also, I mean, if you're not on video. I love seeing everyone on video who's on video. Thank you for showing me your face. It's good to see not just a sea of blank screens with names. So thank you so much. I like seeing people. Hopefully I will do less of the talking as we continue on, but it's a lot of me talking. So get used to the sound of my okay voice. Let's see. And then if you back to the assignments for just a second, if you look at reflection 1, you can't see it yet because it's not available because I want the reflections done like each week. So I will show you from my teacher view here, if you will. If I look at the assignments, if I look at reflection 1, here's what the reflections are going to look like kind of after the 0th reflection. So generally, I'll be asking for your kind of summary of what's gone on in class. I want you to tell me what you think is happening, how the quiz that you will have taken from me went. I guess if you didn't take it, you don't have to answer that part. A math question. I want your guys' questions because you telling me what you have questions about or what you want to hear about is really how I'm going to kind of model or mold the class so that I can help you best. And then always a joke or a meme, please send me your jokes. And then I usually will have a not optional question that's very innocuously personal, about something about you that's not too personal, just a little personal. I know I say it's not optional here, but if you feel like it's too personal, I really don't imagine you will. But if you do, be like, James, I don't want to answer that question. It's perfectly fine. Back to the assignments for a second. Actually, back to the home page for a second here. The other 25% of your class grade is based on completing the weekly quizzes. So there will be a weekly quiz. There will be a PDF that you'll answer the problems on. Either you can print it out and write on it, or you can just write on your own paper. Your grade on the quiz is based solely on if you do it or not. So as long as you do the quiz, you get all the points for doing it. I will still grade the quiz like I'm actually grading an assignment so that you can get the feedback for like, hey, you did this right, or you did this wrong, and here's how you need to have done it correctly. Because that's the whole point of me giving you the quizzes, so that you can actually get some of that feedback as far as like if you're understanding what's happening correctly or not. As far as how the quizzes go, let's look in the assignments again for a second. So quiz 0 is kind of different than the rest of the quizzes. Quiz 0 is just making sure that you know how to correctly assign the questions and pages. So there's already a completed quiz that you're going to download, and then you're just going to submit it via Gradescope. So let me actually go to the student view for a second here. And there is a video of me doing this. So I'm going to stop in just a second because you can watch the video of me doing it later. If you so this video here shows you how to do the thing I want you to do. But the way you do it is you download the quiz, and then you will click on this little button down here, go to Gradescope. You're going to submit a PDF, definitely a PDF, not images. And then you'll upload the PDF. And as far as scanning PDFs in, if you have a scanner, great. I certainly don't have a scanner. I use my phone and a scanning app, but I really would encourage you to, because both for myself and for your other professors, to not just submit pictures, but to actually use a scanning app. And very specifically, in fact, let me stop sharing my screen for just a minute here. I just want to show you guys, and this will not look lovely, but this is how I've shown everyone. So I prefer to use Genius Scan. You can see it right there. It's the orange one. You can kind of see it. But I really want you to see is that if you look at the settings, so wow, I can never like point at my camera correctly. So maybe you can see the settings, maybe not. But in the settings under General, under Default Filter, so maybe you can see that. Under Default Filter, you either want to select black and white or color. Photo is not the thing you want to select, because if you select photo, it's going to look like a photo. Whereas if you select black and white or color, it'll actually take the thing you were taking a picture of and then just make it look like a black and white piece of paper. And it's really great for me because where I'm sitting, I get a lot of like shadows from my window. And so it totally clears up the shadows as well. So it really takes the document I'm trying to take a picture of and makes it look nice. So I definitely recommend selecting one of those default filters for all of your scans. And I do recommend using a scanning app as opposed to just taking pictures. It's going to make your documents look a little bit nicer, and it's going to make it easier for me to read. So as a favor to me, I would appreciate it if you do that for your quizzes. And I think it's a good practice for the rest of your classes as well, if you're submitting PDFs. So let me go back to sharing here. I think yeah, okay, sorry, there we go. So anyway, you'll upload a PDF, and then, well, I don't actually have a PDF to upload, so I'll stop there. You can figure out the rest on your own. There is a video. It's pretty doable. Yeah, so watch the video. If you have questions, don't hesitate to either email me or write something in the chat or in the discussion. Lots of ways to get a hold of me. But then I wanted to point out that the rest of the quizzes, they are already, you can already click on them. So in fact, actually, let me go over here. This is where I want to do it. This is I'm in the student view in Safari here. Assignments, quiz 1. If you look at quiz 1, you'll see that it says once this quiz is live, there will be a PDF of the quiz here. And then you'll see the quiz, you'll write down your answers to the quiz, and then you can upload that to Gradescope by clicking on this little thing here, or just going to Gradescope. If you click here, as long as I've linked the assignment, it'll actually take you straight to the assignment and you can start uploading right away. If I have forgotten to link the assignment, it'll just take you to the general Gradescope page and you'll have to actually click on the right quiz. Shouldn't be too terrible either way. As far as doing the quiz, you do get full credit for doing it. I don't want you to spend a ton of time, right? I'm asking like maybe 3 or 4 questions at the most, and really 30 minutes to 45 minutes is probably more than enough time to be doing them. So they shouldn't be like a big part of your day. They should be like, oh, there's this thing to check kind of my current understanding of the material, but don't take too much time doing it. That is definitely not, my intention is that you are not spending a lot of time on this class. You're spending a lot of time on your actual 21B class, and this class is just to help you do better in it. Let's see here. So we have the discussions, which I think I already mentioned. You definitely can ask questions here. I think, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure as a student, you can also just start a new discussion if you want to. I think you can, because I think I'm in the student view right now. So yeah, as a student, you can definitely start a discussion, or you should be able to. So if you have something you want to ask about, fire away. I will, especially if you think it's something other students might benefit from seeing, right? So if you have like a question about your homework, put it in a discussion. I can respond, other students can respond. Maybe you're having trouble entering the thing into WebWork or WebAssign and you're missing something that someone else is able to see really easily. You can also throw screenshots in there, other stuff. There's also kind of neat ways of typing math if you want to talk about that. But definitely, this is a great place for you guys to interact with each other and help each other if you have questions about homework or other class-related things. All right. The rest of it's not super important. You've got your files, which are just things I have posted in other places. But if you can't find something and you know it should be in the Canvas somewhere, you can always go to files and try and find it there. Grades are kind of whatever. This will show you that I've graded like nothing so far. And the grades are pretty much going to be 0 or 100% because there's kind of nothing else in this class. This will just take you to Gradescope. This will, depending on your browser, this will either take you to Zoom and show you all the meetings or show you all the meetings in Canvas. This one, I think, takes me to Zoom. Yeah. And this shows me when all the meetings are. And then, yeah, there's the chat, which is weird. All right, I think I'm done with my student view here. Oh, and then if you look at Gradescope, you can click on the Co-21B Gradescope, and all it shows you is quiz one right now, because I haven't posted any of the other quiz assignments in Gradescope yet. So this will only show you what's available to you. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. There was one other thing about the quizzes, which is that I will get the quizzes posted up by, so that's not what I wanted. Let's get rid of you. My mouse is kind of acting weird. Sorry about that. The quizzes I will have, they'll be due by Monday at noon, and they'll be available on the Friday before that. I keep missing the chat. I thought I had it open. And so someone asked this question. This actually applies to more than one person, so I'm going to answer it to everybody. So if you're not actually enrolled in this course, which is perfectly fine, there are people that are in here who I've added to Canvas because they wanted to get the information. If you're not enrolled in the course, you don't have to worry about passing the class. You don't have to do any of the assignments. You certainly are welcome and encouraged to do the assignments, but if you don't have the capacity, I totally get it. So yes, if you're not enrolled in the class, you don't have to do any of the assignments, or you can do the ones you want to do. But the thing I was going to say is the quiz is due by Monday at noon, and it's available the Friday before. So I will make sure to get the quizzes posted sometime on Friday. I'll try earlier, that is better than later, but sometimes, I got a lot of stuff to do. So I will definitely try to get them up before like the end of the workday on Friday. So by 5 on Friday is probably when they'll be posted. Hopefully earlier than that though, because they shouldn't be too hard to get up there. Looking around Canvas, the other thing I wanted to show you guys is the modules. The modules kind of is where all the information about the actual classes, meaning like about your 21B class. So here we have the problem solving sheets, which is honestly where I'm going to work from. So a lot of the examples I'm going to show you are on these, problem solving sheets. And then there's a link to some video lessons by math specialists. So if you click on that, you will see, I didn't want you to do that. Let's go back there. You can see lots and lots of videos of people doing various things on antiderivatives, on estimating area, and so on and so forth. And it's arranged by section. So if you're looking for help on something, this is a great place to see some examples. Yeah, and it goes on and on. There are some sections we don't have videos for, but especially for 21B, I think we've got pretty much almost every section covered. So if you are looking for help, there's a lot of ones I did there. If you're looking for help with 21B stuff and you can't get a hold of anyone in person, you can always go try and see if there's a video giving an example of what you're looking for. Yeah, all right. Oops, I decided to close the chat. It's not what I wanted to do. Let's make sure everyone's in here too. Sorry, sharing your screen means you can't see all the things you want to see. It's kind of the worst. It's all right. It's not that bad. So welcome to the people that just came in. Glad to have everyone here. At least everyone who's here. There we go. Trying not to say so much. And then down here at the bottom, we have some what I have deemed useful handouts. There are some, in fact, we can just click on all of them real quick here. I'm a big fan of opening a lot of tabs. So here's what I call this is not one I've made, but it's definitely a lot of rules about how derivatives and their corresponding antiderivatives work. You might want to check that out. It's a good kind of thing just to have at your disposal. Disposal might not be the right word. At your available to you. And then there's this one, which is inverse trig integrals. This has a list of kind of all the derivatives of inverse trig functions, and then the integrals of those results that get you back to the inverse trig function. So the derivative of arcsine is 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. So the antiderivative of 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared is the arcsine of x plus c. So just kind of laying out those ones, because those, I feel like, especially in 21B, the professors kind of like to focus maybe a little too much on the inverse trig ones. So we'll definitely talk about those. I definitely saw in, oh gosh, I don't remember. I don't know any of the professors' names. I think Martin is one of the professors' names. Does that sound right? Maybe. One of the professors, there was definitely a question, a couple questions already in your first homework, whatever homework assignment this is here, that were, Morris, not Martin, Morris. There's definitely some questions from Morris that are already some integrals that are inverse trig functions. So we can definitely talk about some of that. And so we've got that, that's useful. We'll get back to that. These ones, yes. And then I have a couple more useful handouts. One is called derivatives to know. This is probably also on that other list I already showed you, but it's just really like derivatives you should know. If you've successfully completed 21A or some other calc class, calc 1, there are derivatives you should know, and it should be, I was hoping it would actually show up here, but it doesn't seem to want to show up. Maybe I can just click on that. Sure, we can do it the old-fashioned way. So here are some derivatives to know. Derivatives of logarithms, derivatives of exponential things, derivatives of inverse trig functions. Not that these are the only derivatives to know, but these are certainly kind of a large portion of things. I didn't include the trig functions here. I kind of feel like those are a given, for lack of a better word. But these are kind of some trickier things that I just want to make sure everyone's aware of. So again, all of these things are available down in the bottom of the modules tab under useful handouts. The last two things might not quite apply yet. One of them is the Ftc handout, which is just an example of how the fundamental theorem of calculus works. You probably haven't talked about that in class yet, although you will probably within the next week. And then the other thing is the, not you, you didn't want to come up for me, the integration techniques handout. So this is a handout that I actually used when I was a student taking 21B at UC Davis, because yes, I was a UC Davis undergrad. I took 21B at UC Davis. And this handout was very useful, or one, maybe not this one exactly, but one very similar to it. This kind of is what I think of as an integration flowchart. It kind of says, if I have this kind of integral, what kind of methods of integration should I attempt to use in what order? So I will definitely refer to this very often. I think it's useful. I definitely think it's worth, as a student, having available to refer to, because as you're going to see, or maybe already are aware of, there are a lot of different methods of integration. And most of the time, there's only really one way. There's usually a best way to integrate something, but that doesn't mean there's only one way. And so we really want to talk about kind of how to identify what way, what method of integration we want to use when we try and integrate something. And that's kind of one of the, what I think is one of the main differences between this course and Calc 1 or 21A or whatever you want to call the first part of calculus is. So with differentiation, I think I can stop sharing here. With differentiation, it's usually very clear what you're supposed to do, right? Take the derivative of this thing and use one of the many rules that we have, the product rule, the chain rule, the quotient rule, right? All the rules. It's usually very much like you can look at the thing and see what rule makes sense to use. And the harder part about integration is when you look at an integral, it's not always immediately clear what method of integration you need to use. And so that's kind of one of the biggest challenges of this course, is being able to look at an integration question and determine relatively rapidly, oh, I should be using this method or this other method. So we will definitely discuss that a lot in class. So I suppose I should say, are there any questions you guys have about the class? Yeah, go ahead, Sophia. Oh, also, before you go ahead, Sophia, I should one sec. So I'm perfectly happy to have you raise your hand, but if you're not on video, if you click on the participants tab down at the bottom, which I just unclicked, there is a way, I believe, to like click on a little thing to raise your hand. So you guys are welcome to use that as well. Although if you're on camera, you're certainly welcome to actually raise your hand. Go ahead, Sophia.
So for some of the days that you have office hours, like I have a class that's like right before it. Would it be possible sometimes, like if I needed to like schedule a time outside of office hours?
That is an excellent question, Sophia, and I meant to go over that and I did not. So let me actually share my screen once again, because I definitely missed saying something about that on the homepage. Good job. So let's go back here for 1 second. That's not what I wanted. Sorry, I really like this one better. Go to my dashboard. Here's all my classes. So this is Co-21B. So if you look, so down near the bottom of this homepage here, or syllabus, same thing. So just as you're aware, the home tab and the syllabus tab are literally the same for this class. If you look at the bottom here, there's a couple notes about 21B. So each unit in the course is connected to the other units, fine, whatever. Just saying you need to kind of keep up with the material, whatever. To answer your question before I come back to the other stuff, is that you can definitely get help from me outside of the office hours. So I do have office hours Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 to 12, and Wednesday, 10 to 11. But if you go to my website, which is down here, it's not a lot of information on the website. You know, this is me, it's my cat, it's my email. Oh, I need, yeah, there. Interesting. One thing you can see here is that there's a link here to schedule a 30-minute appointment with me. So if you want to make an appointment because other times don't work, you can. I don't have a ton of availability, but if you click on this link, it'll take you to my Calendly calendar, and you can click on various days and see that on Monday I'm available at these times for a half-hour appointment, or on Tuesday at these times, or so on and so forth. So there is usually at least a few times worth of availability every day. It looks like Friday I'm the most available. So if you are looking for, if you need some more help or want to ask me something and you would rather not or can't come to office hours, definitely you are welcome to make an individual appointment. And anyone can sign up for that. So you just go there, you click the thing, confirm, and there you are.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. That's a good, I'm glad you asked, because I meant to say that and I had totally forgotten. That said, finishing off the bottom of this section here, you got, I mean, well, actually, I don't know, some of you might be incoming freshmen. I generally assume 21B students have been here before, but that might not be the case. Some of you might actually, this might be your first quarter at UC Davis. So whether it's your first quarter or your second or third year, welcome, welcome, or I mean, it could be whatever year. You could be in your last year for all I know. Welcome to all of you. I'm happy to have you. That said, I imagine many of you know this class is going to take a lot of work. You're going to have to spend some serious time studying. Successful students usually spend about 10 to 20 hours per week per class doing homework, practice problems, etc. That's not for the code class, right? You should be doing no outside work for the code class other than the quiz. But for your actual 21B class, this is the amount of work approximately you should be doing. And obviously, it is different for different people. Some people need less, some people do more, whatever. The other thing I want to mention is get help before you need it. You guys are already doing that. You're taking the co-class. You're getting help before you need it. So good job. That's a great start. But if you find yourself needing help, again, there are lots of people to get help from. There's me during office hours, via email, in an individual appointment. There's also other math specialists who you might know or not know. There are links to all their websites down here. I often use Grant's website because I find it particularly useful. There's Grant, he's a great guy. And the problem solvings that are in Canvas are really the same here. So there's a lot of good problems and solutions here that you can definitely look at if you're looking for extra work to do. I'm sure there's plenty of work in your class already, but if you find yourself in need of extra practice problems, this is a place to get them. Not the only place, but it is a place. And then lastly, aside from myself and the other specialists, there are also student tutors. If you check out this link here, it'll take you to the AATC tutoring page. And they aren't available yet, but they will start being available October 12th. And you can either go to the virtual drop-in room where it's kind of like lots of students or a few students, or you can also make one-on-one appointments with student tutors as well. So that is something that is also available. There are lots of resources available. Go ahead, Sophia.
I took the summer session for the 21A, and I noticed that like during the summer session, you were able to meet with like you guys.
Yes, so that is an excellent point. And so the difference is that in the summer session, we aren't doing anything else, right? Summer session, I don't teach any classes, or at least not summer session 1. Summer session 2, I was teaching 1 class, like my colleagues. In fall quarter, we are all teaching 3 or 4 classes, and so we don't have the capacity to really have drop in with us. But I know that my colleagues, I think most of them also do have some individual appointments available, but you're right. So really, actually, the real truth is, Sophia, is that the office hours I have are kind of like drop-in. It's just that they're kind of only for the students who are in the co-classes I'm teaching. So if you come to office hours, you might see students from my Co-21A class or my Co-17A class or my Pre-16 class, which is perfectly fine. I'm happy to help everybody all at once. But yeah, there is less availability of the specialists to help with kind of general questions. And that's because we're just a little busier this quarter. But there are lots of students, and the students are trained and they are pretty helpful. So I definitely recommend if there are no other, I recommend using the students as a resource as well. They're great. Student tutors are. I was a student tutor once upon a time at UC Davis many, many, many years ago. So yes, use the student tutors. They're a great resource. And then I think that's about, and then down here is the course summary. It's just the list of all the things and when they're due and all